to share this devotion, and I have no idea why God has been urging me to share this devotion with you. I don't know whether, Caro, it is coming through or not yet.
Yes, maybe just expand the screen.
Huh?
Yeah, it is coming through. Just a little bit of expanding the devotion screen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Are we all here?
Yes, now we are good.
Yeah. Yeah, I have, every time I thought about your class, and this week God has been asking me to share with you this trodden path of the relationship between Jesus, Martha, and Mary. John 11:17-20. On his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. That is very significant, that sentence, that who then comes out. It is Martha, but Mary stays home. So I was imagining, and I want you to all imagine Martha as a busy hostess. Jesus often went to the home of Martha, who was apparently single, whether by choice, circumstances, and living in Bethany with her sister Mary and their brother Lazarus. Apostle John's comment shows that Jesus and the family from Bethany were close friends. John 11:5. Martha seemed to enjoy her gift of hospitality and her probable position as the older of the two sisters. 3 scenes appear to reveal Martha's intensity, which the Lord faced with loving firmness, as recorded in Luke 10:41-42. Martha's irritation with her sister led to a confrontation with Jesus as, in effect, she blamed him for Mary's lack of assistance. His loving response was not a condemnation of Martha's servant's heart or a rejection of her zealous and gracious hospitality. He simply asked her to consider her priorities, to make her choices on the basis of eternal values instead of immediate pressures. And he clearly praised Mary's choice to sit in his presence rather than attending to the many tasks of hospitality. We are talking about priorities. We are talking about prospective candidates for the award of a master's degree from Daystar University. Several months later, Lazarus became ill while Jesus was traveling many miles away. So although the sisters went for him, by the time the Lord arrived in Bethany, Lazarus was dead, and he had been buried for 4 days. Ignoring the custom of mourners to remain in their homes, Martha took the initiative to meet Jesus as he approached the town, and to attribute her brother's untimely death to Jesus' delay in reaching Bethany. John 11:21. Again, with trusting faith, Martha acknowledged Jesus' power over death. Verse 22, and Jesus explained that he himself was the resurrection. she agreed and saw an immediate manifestation of that faith in her brother's resurrection. And this is a story we are all very familiar with. And please note, these are two sisters, and I'm juggling with the notion of priorities. The third glimpse of Martha was reported by John in John 12:2. We again see Martha blessings others through hospitality. The simple fact that Martha assumed hostessing duties once more confirms the fact that her uncommon talents were being used. Undoubtedly, she had become a disciple who experienced God's power in practical service. Jesus, as well as countless others, needed the physical refreshment of Martha's warm hospitality. They needed the food. She did not consider her homemaking responsibilities as worthless drudgery. She obviously loved her home and counted it joy to pour her energies into the efficient management of the household. So Martha to us is a poignant reminder to every woman of the balance between fellowship with the family and the work necessary to meet their mundane needs. So Martha's appearances in scripture provide a challenge. Her work of hospitality was clearly good and right in many ways. And yet Christ's rebuke and the favor he showed to Mary highlights the danger of letting good works crowd out the need to commune with Christ. And that is the word of God for us today. I've been pondering over this passage as we turn the final bend. And I'm asking you, what are your priorities as far as your studies are concerned? But more importantly, I want somebody to tell me the significance of this passage to our current situation. So I would want to invite, that's why I did not argue out what I think. I have left it hanging for you to be able to tell me, what are we saying here? The course coordinators, you can start picking out anybody who wants to comment on this very common story. And how does it relate to us?
Yes. Yes, there's a hand there. Please go ahead, open your mic and speak. Well, many others can also put on the chat. Go ahead.
Thank you, Professor.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. My reflection is that there are many things to arrange coming together in this program, and how we prioritize them is important, especially in terms of timeliness. What should come first? What should come last? We should not waste too much time on things that will not count or that will delay the program. We should focus, we should major on the major and minor on the minors. That's my reflection. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much. Any other? Remember, this is a postgraduate class, so there are no right or wrong answers.
Thank you. Any other person? Edwin, all the way from China, 1:10 p.m. right now. Yes, go ahead. Apatsa, Malawi, yes.
Good evening. It's so great to be back here. My reflection on it is how sometimes our irritability comes from lack of fellowship with the right presence, which is the presence of God. When I think of our how busy we are these days, sometimes you fail to put things together or to hold things together because you're trying to manage everything and God is put aside. So what I'm getting from this message is I'm in the midst of everything that we are doing, God remains a priority, because whatever we are doing today, really, even this class, we take to the glory of his name. We cannot do this for ourselves. We do it for him. So, so much to manage from school, work, and everything else, but we should remember to sit at his feet from time to time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Apatsa. That's very thoughtful.
Chris, cohort 1, data collection stage.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Prof. Two reflections from me from the story of mother. One is balancing the service and reflection. Yeah, the whole story of Mary and mother and Jesus. For example, mother represents a person who is focusing on action-oriented leadership. For example, she's very busy, focused on logistics, on cooking and everything. But again, it also represents the contemplative part of leadership, yeah, because now it's focused on wisdom. And so to me, where we are, for example, as masters leadership students, it tells me the level of action that I need to put on, prioritizing what is supposed to be done, but at the same time putting into action the practical part of it, that though I am supposed to work and prioritize also the learning. Lastly, the idea of prioritizing what is right, setting out what is right. For example, the passage that has just been read by Prof, Jesus affirms, for example, Mary, the choice to sit and learn from his feet. But most importantly, it is grounded on the truth. And so based on this leadership course, then I learned that I am supposed to sit strategically to where I'm able to get some values, I'm able to learn from people who are grounded, especially in leadership. And so correctly to say, we are correctly sitting on the feet of Prof together with so many doctors who are able to give us ideas based on leadership. I thank you, Dr.
Thank you. Ambindi should be Masters in Clinical Psychology. Anderson?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Dr. Ayiro. So my response would be two-sided. The first perception is that there is a balance between what's important, what's urgent, and what's permissive, which basically means that you could do any of the three and you will technically be right. However, when does duty call for you to attend to what's urgent on top of the list? When does duty call for you to put your focus on what's important in the moment? And when does duty call for you to do what's permissive, like it's not wrong to do it anyway, because what Martha was doing, it's not like she was doing anything wrong. But what functionality
would help you make the decision as to where to put your focus, which brings me to my second point, is that who then defined what was important? Who defined what was priority in this particular moment? And gathering from what Prof said, he goes further to say that, you know, in a future context, John actually exposes the talent of Martha, which means it was a good thing anyway. But what is it? What is the functionality that defines where you should put your focus? And I think it is the mastery of Jesus Christ, because at this point in time, Mary sat at the feet of Jesus to listen to the word and to listen to the teachings of Jesus because the master was in town. If Jesus was not in action at this particular moment, you may be surprised to realize that what Martha was doing was the most noble one. So as students of Daystar, I'll be trying to understand what is at the core of the heart of Daystar University? What's the identity of Daystar University? What kind of graduate does Daystar University seek to churn out into the market? And how am I aligning with that? But most importantly, as an introspection, as an individual, how does this grooming, training, and mentoring align with my purpose so that I focus my eyes on that? I focus to make sure I'm aligning with the institution, and I'm also in sync with what I want to extract out of this, not just a degree, but what do I want to do with it? Thank you.
Wow,
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anderson. Ladies
Dennis?
and gentlemen, we are talking about priorities.
Prof, Dennis had his hand up all the way. Would you just give him a minute?
Okay, go ahead.
Dennis, please. Dennis, I think probably master's in clinical also. Dennis N.
Okay, sorry, I'm using a different gadget. It's actually a lady, not a male. But then I'm taking clinical psychology.
Okay.
Yes, I think a reflection on what Martha, Mary, and the what Christ is putting across. That what Martha is doing is okay, it's not bad. But then there are things that matter most in our lives. It's not just about career, because we are all working towards becoming something in terms of career. But then looking at the person holistically, there's a spiritual bit, and then there's also now, because I'm a psychologist, I'll talk about that mental wellness. It's not good to like put focus on one and then you forget on you ignore the most basic and important things of life. So spiritual life, then like that relationship with God, who is the super being, the most high being, having a relationship with him, matters, eternity and all that. And then we go now to addressing other important issues like self-care. As I do everything that I'm doing, then I don't forget about myself, that there's me and then there's work, and then I need to really like take care of myself as I do the rest, and also people around me. But then let's not forget about ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think it's very critical for all of us to note that Martha had wonderful gifts. For us fathers, the daughter who always runs in the kitchen and brings you a cup of tea as you arrive and is all over is a favorite. Those of us who are married, if your wife has a lot of industry around the kitchen and the house, those are desirables. And for women, if you are married to a man who is progressive, is learned, is functional, is what, those are all desirables. But you can see here, this is about your salvation. It's about your salvation, and that is what should be a priority in one's life. because that is the eventual destination for all of us. So you want to prepare to be right with your maker. I want to leave you challenged by that passage, and we will continue having these sermonettes and prayers, because that is the character of Daystar. And that we will always know that, yes, whatever careers we are pursuing, the knowledge we are getting, but if you want to get the greatest motivation, is then to be able to have the realization of who the Lord of Christ is in your life. You'll be so enriched in what you're doing and in your journey, your travels on this earth. Now, I would like to therefore ask us to meditate. We will not pray. Let us meditate on this. And what is our priority? This class is a very large class. It's not like the 50 plus we had in the first cohort. But you know, even those 50 we had in the first cohort, only about 40, I stand corrected, maybe 41 have defended their proposals. And maybe about 20 have done the necessary clearances and they're collecting data. But November is around the corner and we want to graduate. My target is to graduate 50, minimum, 50 from that class. So the supervisors who are on this call and the coordinator of the program, Dr. Mwaka, my young man, Martin, you have a job to do. And now the acting Odell, Professor Murithi, academics, Dr. Keino, we must look for those that every ship must be found and brought home for graduation. But this thing of priority matters a great deal. And so I would like to now turn this to the coordinator to introduce just in clusters who is in this call. I'm expecting 2 special people to join this call. As a university, we have recruited 2 professors for specifically research methods and statistics. Because the Lord, you can see, I have all of you. I have the PhD, we have the first cohort. It's an area we are growing exponentially. So we have recruited 2 professors and we'll be introducing them and then I'll say something much later, because this is a seminar. I want to get into my seminar and tell you how I want my chapter 1 to look like. Over to Dr. Mwaka and Dr. Murithi, Dr. Keino, Martin, if he's on this call, to take it up from there. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Prof. And thank you for this great intro of the devotion and bringing us into this particular session, just to tell you who is on call today and why. Prof, we have to admit that usually when you begin seminars, and like when you're in class, a lot of students get interested because now they can take advantage of joining your seminar so that they can learn more. And that's why you see the numbers move from 118 to getting towards 200 students, or probably to go beyond these 200 students, because usually they would like to take advantage of these sessions that you have so that they can be able to learn more and also improve in their skills. So on this call, we have obviously quite a lot of different groups of people. We have our usual 115 students on call. and they are from our Master of Education Leadership and School of Nursing. So nursing has 9 students, and then of course the Master of Education Leadership has about 108 students thereabout. So they are all on this call. That is your main class, and this is the class you usually have. This extension has been invited to other master students because now you have turned the sessions into seminars. You may not begin from the beginning, but you'll continue where we left with the class. But we have the clinical students, master students who have joined us. We have students from maybe communication. At least I know a big bunch comes from the clinical psychology, counseling psychology, some few from business administration, and of course, communication and IR. Maybe they will let us know, but the big bunch comes from this to the masters in clinical and counseling psychology. I think because one of their own is in this class. Also, we have cohort 1. Few of them would like just to improve and refreshen their skills because some of them are in data. Just to say that we have 44 students who've already defended their proposals, and now we have over 20 in the field, and those who have complied are over 10, who have just below 10, who are now finishing up with clearances. So we are hoping the 100% of that class will graduate, everybody who defended this time, so we are trying our best. Of course, our faculty have joined us, and I will thank God, and I'll definitely let you also introduce to us our new faculty. But our faculty are drawn from the School of Nursing. We have also postgraduate director. We have our dean who has joined us from School of Nursing. We also have Dr. Keino, DAA, Acting Director, ODEL. We also have Dr. Martin, Deputy Director, ODEL. We have faculty from education. That is, we have Dr. Rogers who has joined us as well. We also have our Director for Graduate Studies, Professor Sister Lando, who has joined us. And we also have the Associate Dean, School of Business, Dr. Chongo, who has joined us. He always joins your seminars all the way from COVID to now. So basically, those are some of them, and our faculty from ODEL who are part of this. So just give it back to you again. And the 2 professors, I spotted them. Professor Shem was the first person to enter class at exactly 30 minutes to time. And I wasn't sure who he is. I didn't interact with him, but when I saw Professor Shem Otoi, I realized he was the one, though he didn't come in the tag of Prof. But I'm glad to see that they came in, we were able to spot them. These are your own introductions, and we appreciate them joining us. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Could you focus on the 2 new faculty? But before that, I just want to thank everybody for coming on board. And I'm sure most of the faculty will be your supervisors. So I am very, very comforted with the number of faculty members who are on this call. And it actually reinforces the character of Daystar. We are a very collective community. We have a very serious purpose and intention in research methods. And now that we have a full directorate for postgraduate studies, Professor Lando is on call. By the way, Professor Lando is a full professor of Daystar University. I think this is the first full professor Daystar has awarded. As I keep telling you, I am a professor of Moi University, and not Daystar. And so Lando is a professor of Daystar University, and other professors who are joining us. Is Professor Wangombe on call from School of Business? I don't know whether he's on call. That's another new entrant. So can you focus, Dr. Marker, on the 2? And I would like them to introduce themselves. We're giving each 5 minutes, and then I will take it up into the seminar.
Thank you so much, Prof. Prof. Shem and Prof, I don't know whether you'll be in the right place, Professor Edward Owino and Professor Shem Otoi, if you'll be in the right place to give your videos. And apologies, I didn't say Dr. Ositati is also available. And the class president, His Excellency, President Walter Nyambane, definitely after the introduction, I'm sure he would definitely want to welcome you, Prof, as a class president, because they own this class. They say it's not ours, theirs. So I would wish to introduce Prof. Shem Otoi and Professor Edward, if you are on on video, we can have your what, but I've also asked everybody to Google you on the Google Scholar. You are well researched. Professor Shem, are you there? Yes. So, Prof, I would like you to introduce yourself. As you introduce, I'll be looking out for your Google Scholar as you introduce yourself and showcase it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Caroline, the coordinator and organizer of this call. First, I appreciate what I have had since I joined this call. That devotion has really blessed me here. My name is Shem Otoi Odhiambo Sam. I am a research statistician. In the past, I've done a lot of statistical modeling of natural phenomena, including employment in low LMCs. I've also done a lot of disease modeling, especially COVID-19 pandemic. I am an author of a book, Defeating COVID-19 in the African Frontline. I am very, very honored to be faculty at Daystar University. I bring on board my expertise in statistical modeling as a research statistician, and I would really want to prioritize and sharpen my skills and assignments so that as a team, I like the teamwork that I have found in this outstanding institution. As a team, we would grow in leaps and bounds. I am very, very glad that I'm joining a Christ-centered university where everybody belongs and is cared for in a manner that reflects the love of Christ. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shem Otoi. What a relief, because we have a very serious intention of making Daystar something different. And something different is in the area of research, statistics, innovation. And that's why you are coming into Daystar as a professor of research methods and statistics. So I want to welcome you, and you can see the magnitude of the undertaking. There are very few universities in this country that have 80+ students coming in across the PhD programs. And a lot of work awaits you. Moving forward, I'll have time with you and be able to share my classes for supervision, along with Professor Owino, who is also going to introduce himself. I'm talking about serious intentions, very serious intentions. Today, I was addressing a leadership challenge conference, and I was talking about artificial intelligence in higher ed. And I was telling people, just like the internet has done to Africa, the internet has actually marginalized Africa. And we are on the periphery because we go to the internet in Africa as downloaders. We don't upload. Number two, we go on the internet to copy and paste. That means we plagiarize. And so our contribution to global knowledge, innovation, and patents is sitting at around 3%. And I keep telling you, Netherlands, which is a province, the size of a province in Kenya, its contribution to global research and outputs is at about 27% now. And the whole of Africa, by the way, today I didn't know, I was told, one of the presenters told us, take India, take China, take America. They'll all fit into Africa and some space will be left. Just the sheer demographic size should make us should be making us a very strong force in the world. And so in Kenya, this is our contribution, Daystar. And we are still searching out for another professor to boost our graduate programs because we know where we want to go. So I really want to welcome Professor Shem Otoi. I'm excited. I've already seen you want us to get into writing a proposal, a fundable proposal. So as the CEO and maybe the father of Daystar, I feel very anchored as you join us. Professor Edward Owino, are you there?
Yes, President Vice Chancellor.
Yeah.
Good evening to you, sir, and good evening to all members present. I'm very, very pleased to have the opportunity to address this meeting this evening. I equally was impressed with the way it started with some very encouraging music and then the word of encouragement from the Vice Chancellor. And when you asked the question, what is our reflection on the same, what I quickly wrote down was important, urgent, that we are living at a time when everything seems urgent, but is it important? So one of the speakers pointed out my reflection, and I had nothing else to say. Professor and members present, Edward Owino joins Daystar University as an associate professor of research methods. I've had the opportunity of teaching research methods for more than 10 years. And what I can share with you is that learning is a continuous process. When I got the opportunity of interacting with Professor Laban during my interview, I realized that I have a long way to go, even as I learn from those who have more knowledge than me. I actually realized that if I'm to go further, I have to anchor on the shoulders of giants in this area. And Prof, I come with an open mind, willing to learn and be guided. To our students, we shall be there to support you. I'm certain my colleagues have been doing the very best, and we want to work together with them as a team and see to it that the desire of our Vice Chancellor of seeing the numbers of students graduating grow is actually realized. So be ready to be supported, and we shall be able to achieve your desire of graduating in good time together. I equally want to note, Professor, that I'm very pleased to join a Christian-centered university where the word of God is given priority. And I want to believe that my faith will equally grow as I interact with members of this community. So I wasn't ready to really give a speech, but I appreciate this few minutes given to me to present myself as a new member of Daystar University. Thank you very much, Prof, and members.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Edward. And in the same breath, I really want to welcome you to this great institution. I also, Edward, I came from a public university to Daystar, and the experience is phenomenal. But I want you, the two of you, to anchor. I will do some mentoring, but I would like you to grow and outshadow me in research, because I will be, in the next 3 years or so, I'll be exiting Daystar, and I will choose whether to be here as a professor of research methods or go to Moi University. But I'll be comforted to know that this journey we started about with Professor Lando in 2020 will never stop. And Daystar will be a point of reference in terms of all aspects of research, grants, innovations, patents, commercialization, and entrepreneurship. So I'm very excited. Ladies and gentlemen, these two gentlemen went through very rigorous interviews. I'm usually very brutal in the boardroom, in the interviews as we bring in staff in Daystar. And they met the high standards that I was expecting of them. And so I want us to give them all the support possible. And we are going to be a very powerful team. I have other faculty already in Daystar, in the research methods. We are going all come together and really strengthen this area. I don't want to let this go. I'm very delighted about Losioki, Samoire, your comments on the devotion, Sylvia Mwichuli, Hilary Kipchumba, Mariam Ngunguti, and this one has really touched me, Terry, and the others who have sent, June and so on, who have really gone through the devotion and made some apt comments. So I also want to welcome all my faculty. I've seen Dr. Statiarai was not mentioned, but she's there, and others. Welcome to this call. Now, what is this seminar about? I've been teaching this class, the course Research Methods and Proposal Development. And we are now wanting them to start their chapter 1, starting today. What I did is I asked them to pick topics, go into an area and try to tell me a topic and what it is all about in terms of the problem at hand. And I would wish, I don't know, Dr. Mwaka, if you could just upload one of those tables or templates and scroll it so that people have an idea of what we have done. So all these people, all these students have submitted a topic. I don't know why I'm feeling the president of the class has not submitted a topic, but I stand corrected.
Prof,
But
he has submitted. It's among the ones who have not given feedback, but he can speak.
I have no pending work myself, none whatsoever. But we shall quarrel later with him and you and everybody else. Could you just post that? I want us to look at it. So what we have done so far, we have finished the instruction around research methods, and it was concept-based. And now we would like to release these students to start grappling with chapter 1. So seminar 1 today is on chapter 1. And then when the course starts, when the semester starts, we'll do seminar 2 on literature review, how you write your chapter 2. And then we'll do seminar 3, how you write your chapter 3, the research methodology chapter. And then we will then release you to finish your proposal and do the application for defense. So we are very systematic, we are very sequential, and I want to urge my students, don't be left behind. So if you are in this class and your topic has not been ratified, or rather, I have not given you suggestions around your topic, you should consider that a big worry, because literally the train has left the station. Caro, do you have it?
Prof, I'm just loading it in a
If you
minute.
don't have it,
I
I
do
have it. I have it.
Okay, just in the 30 seconds, I would share part 1 and part 2 of the.
If you don't have it, I have it ready, I can share, but you share.
All right, sharing just in a minute, in a second. Yeah, but yeah, so we'll share both part 1 and part 2. I'll start with part 1. They were in 2 formats. Part 1 review. Okay, there we go. That should be master students. Okay, yeah. So I can now share. I think it has started with part 2, but it has been started with, yeah, this is part 1, I think. Yeah, so I don't know if it's sharing or not. Okay, let me again start again. Is it sharing?
It is coming.
Okay. Okay, started with part 2, I think. So this is part 2.
I'm
From
not sure I started with part 1, but anyway.
Let me start with part 1. It makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, blow it up. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I did ask of my students was to give a brief description of their main area of interest in research, and then suggest a topic for the research study. So this was, can this be blown up, Caro? Can it get bigger? Okay. So that was the topic. That was the topic. And so what I did for every candidate sitting on this platform, this was, for example, transformation leadership and implementation of ICT in education policy in Kenyan primary schools. So we wanted to deal with ICT penetration and policy. So we gave alternative topics, like as shown, the role of transformational leadership in enhancing ICT integration in Kenyan primary schools, challenges and best practices. Then the second alternative, assessing the impact of ICT-driven transformational leadership on student learning outcomes in Kenyan primary schools. Yeah, have you scrolled down? Carol, can I, if you don't mind, can you stop screening? Can I screen from my end?
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, please. I think I'll move a little faster because this is the seminar itself. So this is I hope you can see this. This is the screen. I hope it's a little better.
Yes, it's visible.
It's better.
Yes.
Okay. So, for example, let me pick this student because I'm going to use this as an illustration. This is a student who talks about the role of youth empowerment in Kenya's informal sector and its impact on economic growth. So she's talking about youth employment opportunities and training. So the alternative topics is assessing the contribution of the informal sector on youth employment and economic development in Kenya. And I give a justification why I think this topic stands or reads or is sharper than what the student had proposed here, this one. So the second topic, alternative evaluation of government policies on youth employment in Kenya's informal sector. The third one, the role of entrepreneurship training, enhancing youth participation in Kenya's informal sector. And then the last topic is impact of digital platforms on youth employment opportunities in Kenya's informal sector. So I want all of us to have the entry behavior that each student on this call submitted an area of interest and attempted to give a topic, and then I mined around the topic and gave them alternatives for them to pick one or not pick if they choose to go with their topic. So all those students, the first cohort, I'll just go down, all these students, you can see number 31, 32. So we did that for every student up to let me just roll down up to the last student here. And this is students on part one. This is student number 76, Jacqueline Karomo, on emotional support. So her topic was enhancing parental understanding of emotional support, the role of teachers in promoting genuine emotional care over material support. So this topic was amorphous. So I give alternatives, evaluating the impact of teacher-led workshops on parental emphasis of emotional support in child development, assessing the role of parent-teacher collaboration in promoting emotional over material support for students, and analyzing the effectiveness of school-based programs in educating parents on the importance of emotional nurturing, and then investigating the influence of teacher communication strategies on parents' attitudes towards emotional support. So this is what I was doing, and this is all mined. So I mine, I put in the key terms, and I go into various databases, and I pull out the topics as shown. So every student has been assisted to sharpen their topics. And this is 76 plus the other ones. So we have over 100 and I think 112 students who have already gotten this feedback. And I would like my colleagues who are on call to realize that that this is very critical, because now you're coming in, and after I finish chapter 1, I want to struggle with chapter 1 with every one of these students. We shall hand them over to you at chapter 2 and chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5. Look at this topic. If I take Sheila Wafula, for example, this was, she wanted to examine the criteria used to hire teachers and how it impacts to their performance in the classroom. So she gives us the topic, influence of teacher recruitment policy on teacher effectiveness, a case study of Kenya. You see, influence of teacher recruitment can mean many things to me as a researcher. And we shall struggle with the variables that will actually give us that influence that we're talking about. So these were the suggested topics: evaluating the impact of decentralized teacher recruitment on instructional community in Kenyan public schools, or assessing the role of school-based teacher recruitment policies in enhancing teacher retention and performance. And I'm giving where I got this information from. And then we have analyzing the effectiveness of the Teacher Service Commission's recruitment criteria on educational outcomes in Kenya. We have not taken the student from his or her area of interest. Note that. In that area of interest, we're saying, can this topic perhaps be positioned this way? So look at this one, investigating the challenges and successes of implementing affirmative action in teacher recruitment in Kenya. By the way, this decentralized way of recruitment was to ensure that the hard-to-reach counties, the ASAL areas, get teachers. So you can see I have given the significance to support the student in trying to pick the topic for their thesis. So that's number one. Look at this one. Look at this, this topic of Susan Waiguru, role of parental involvement in enhancing students' discipline and academic performance. Very broad, very open. And I don't know what she would be chasing in the study. So here we give suggestions analyzing the impact of home-based parental engagement on student academic achievement, evaluating the effectiveness of school-based parental involvement initiatives on student behavior, investigating the relationship between parental involvement and student self-discipline, and assessing barriers to parental involvement in education and their impact on student outcomes. So we are sharpening those topics. They can now very quickly realize, oh, so these are my variables, for example. These are the things that I'm going to chase in my study. So that is part one of the seminar, is that these students, if they have not chosen, they are about to choose a topic that has been refined. And we are not spoon-feeding them, because we insisted they first of all try out and give us a topic. And then we use that topic, mine possible areas where, possible topics that will make the research plausible. So what I have done, therefore, for this seminar, I have picked this study, was it 22? Number 22, is it 22 or 21? I can't remember, but I have picked one of these studies, this one, on youth employment. And I want to use it as a case study for this seminar to show how chapter 1 should be constructed by each and every one of us. Remember, we at Daystar will not be assumptuous. We shall not assume that students are supposed to know. So we are not sending students to go out there and fumble around to try and write a chapter 1. No, we are not doing that. We are sending them out there, telling them this is how chapter 1 should look like. And of course, they'll be different because each of them are doing chapter 1s in different areas. So having gone through all these topics, let me pick one of them. Let me stop sharing this one. And let me pick one of them. But before that, before I pick one of them, I want to share something that is becoming a real problem for us. Just give me a minute. Yes, I'm trying to get. Meshach, are you seeing the screen?
Yes, Prof, but you need to expand it so it's full
Like
screen.
that?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, you're good. Yes, it looks good now.
Before I look at that example, I want everybody to note this. Chapter 1, your chapter 1, is supposed to read, your chapter 1 is supposed to be chapter 1 introduction. That is the heading of your proposal. Chapter 1, enter, introduction, caps, if you're using the APA styling. The first item in chapter 1 is introduction and background of the problem. And I want us to get this very clear. The chapter itself is chapter 1, and it is called introduction in capital. So that is 1.0. 1.1, we now deal with introduction and background of the problem. And this is English. This is straightforward language. We are dealing with introduction and background of the problem. So you are introducing the problem, introduction, and giving us the background of the problem. So when I read the background and introduction, the introduction and background of your problem, I want you to talk to me about this problem and the background. And I remember emphasizing that there are certain key points that we must consider when developing the introduction and background of the problem section of this chapter 1. And Daystar will have their 1.1 as introduction and background of the problem. You are not introducing your proposal. You are introducing the problem, and you are giving us a background to that problem. So what do I expect to see? I expect a brief history of the problem. I expect you provide a summary of results from the prior empirical research on the topic. So I'll begin. I want to see 1, 2, 3, 4 studies empirical studies on this problem that you are dealing with. Then you will identify in that background, introduction and background of the problem, you will identify 3 to 5 research studies, and I want recent research, and begin to say, these studies were dealing with this problem, but there is this stated need or possible research gap. You are not doing the statement problem. No. You are introducing the problem and giving me the background. Then you will identify the need for the study or the gap that will lead to the research problem statement, which will be our part 2. You will build a justification for the current study by using a logical set of arguments supported by citation. So you will tell us, because of what I've seen, there is need for this study because this one talked about this one talked about this, but there is no adequate literature around this aspect of this problem. And then discuss how the problem is applicable beyond the local setting and contributes to societal and professional needs. So the why of the study. And then tell us the overview, what will be discussed in this chapter. Look at this, the minimum length of master students, the minimum length of what? I'm not talking about the minimum length of chapter 1. I'm talking about the minimum length of introduction and background of the problem. The minimum will be 2 to 3 paragraphs or approximately 1 page. Ikikushinda sana, 2 pages. So I don't want to see, writings, copying and pasting without the smoothness of thinking that tells me you have understood what this introduction and background of the problem is all about. So that's the first thing. And what in my PhD class, this is what I was looking at. And I was very nervous at what I saw. So I want to make this clear. And you must bear this in mind. Now, I want to now pick remember that study of that student. Please let me know if it is on your screen. Is it, Meshach? Are we there?
Yes, but again,
yes,
still
it
need
is.
to maximize it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I'll put it in focus. That way?
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes, looks okay.
Okay, now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so chapter 1 of your proposal, not really your research methods, but your proposal. 1.0 will be chapter 1. Enter your cursor and it will read introduction in capital letters. So chapter 1 is in capital letters, introduction is in capital letters. 1.1 will be introduction and background of the problem. Data must have a character that builds our reputation as a research university. So I don't want to see chapter 1, introduction, then 1.0, introduction. This introduction is under introduction of chapter 1. So it is introduction and background of the problem. So what do I want to see here? Context and significance of the study. I've told you in the previous presentation. Historical perspective or the duration of the existence of the problem, and then current state of the problem. So that is number 1. This is generic. After this, I'm going to pick that study of that student. The problem statement. You then give me a clear articulation of the problem and importance of addressing the issue. So if this was your thesis, this will not be number 2, it will be 1, 2, because 1, 1 is introduction and background of the problem. 1, 2 is the problem statement. And we have taught you how to construct a problem statement. And so I'll be looking for that when I mark your draft of chapter 1 that you submit to me. Within a time frame, we're going to agree with your coordinator and yourselves. Then 1, 3 will be purpose of the study. General aim of the research and what the study intends to achieve. And remember, we agreed on purpose. You must tell me the demographics. So where will this study be? And who will be the respondents in that study? Then you will do objectives of the study, the specific goals. So from the general on purpose, you go to the specific goals and breakdown of key achievements expected. That's what an objective, the study will. Then if you are qualitative, you'll do research questions. And if you are quantitative, I would want to see some of you be more daring and give me the hypothesis, what you are going to prove or disapprove in the field. So main research questions and hypothesis to be tested. In other words, I'm saying if your study is mixed methods, I'll want to see objectives, I'll want to see research questions, I'll want to see hypothesis. If you are qualitative, then I'll want to see objective of the study and then research questions. You will give me the rationale. Why? The why question, justification of the study and why the research is needed. In other words, if you didn't do this study, would it be the end of the world? Then you will tackle the issue of significance of the study. And by the way, all this is in your text, in your class text for reference. Contributions to the field, and then implications for practice, policy, and theory. That is significant. Most of you struggle with the difference between rationale and significance. Rationale is the why, the justification. My God, if we don't do this study, then there'll be earlier sexualization of our children in primary schools. What is the significance? This study will be useful to teachers, will be useful to parents, will be useful to adults, for example, religious groups. 1.8 will be delimitations and limitations. Don't write delimitation and then you give me another topic, another subtopic called scope of the study. That is redundancy, because scope of the study is actually the delimitation. Why is this being done in northeastern province of Kenya? Why is this study being done in private schools? Why is this study being done in 3 counties in Kenya? The scope. The challenge to most of you will be the limitations. Limitations are possible constraints or challenges. And when I see my master's student quickly jump to that I will not have enough money or I'll not have enough time, of course, those are possible constraints. But that is not what we are saying. When I talk about limitations, I'm talking about things you have no control over, and they will affect the validity and reliability of your findings. So this is a very serious, limitations is a very, very serious aspect of a study because you have no control over it directly. In other words, you can go to a school and the headmaster is telling you all the lies you can think of in terms of learning outcomes. You have no control with what he's telling you. So you have to tell us how you are going to overcome those limitations. So if the headmaster has given me a story about the school's performance, I'll want to interview the parents. I'll want to interview the teachers. I'll want to interview a community leader to triangulate, to test the veracity of the pronouncements of that headmaster in that school. So many of you will struggle, and I want you to note in the defenses, some of us will quickly want to pin you down on limitations, and I'll be giving you examples. Then assumptions, underlying beliefs or conditions assumed in the research. So you tell us, what are the assumptions you made? And how were you going to overcome, or how were you going to live with them? I want to see operational definitions, clarification of key terms. So youth empowerment, like in the study we are going to deal with. Small and micro enterprises. Capacity training, capacity building. I want you to operationalize, to define those key terms. And don't masquerade as a researcher yourself, because you're not. So you must cite whose definition you are using. So when you are giving me operational definitions, I want to see the definitions, but I also want to know whose definition are you using. So most of you can escape easily with Ayiro 2024, the book, in your citations, whether you pick that definition from that book or Creswell, whichever book where you got your definition. This is, I want to clarify this. I still insist, and I know your graduate handbook says this should be touched when you are in chapter 2, but I'm just wondering, how would you talk about variables if you have not skimmed through the theory? Remember, your variables come from the theoretical frameworks, the theoretical models. So it is good to use maybe one page, just to introduce to us the theories or the theoretical framework of your study, but you're not going to give the details because you'll have more space to dance in your chapter 2. And then conceptual framework, these are your perception of how the variables relate to each other in your study. So that will be 1.11, theoretical and conceptual frameworks. I want you to note that this is how we shall regiment our chapter 1. Now, allow me to use that study on youth empowerment and employment to deepen what I'm trying to say. So the topic is in that matrix that I don't want to stop sharing, then bring that and then come back. So this is introduction and background of the problem. Overview of the informal sector in Kenya. Definition and characteristics. Historical context of youth unemployment in Kenya. economic landscape, challenges facing the formal sector, and importance of the informal sector in providing employment and fostering growth. So this is introduction and background of the problem. This is not the introduction. Chapter 1 is introduction. So 1.1, you are giving me an introduction and background of the problem. I'll be extremely demoralized. I will be, I don't want to use the word I want to use, but I want to see my students from DISTA demonstrate that they know the positioning of a research proposal. So we are using that topic of this student. Problem statement. You will bring out high youth unemployment rates in Kenya despite economic growth. This is called manifestation. This is called visibility. So I will expect to see, what will I expect to see? I'll expect to see studies on youth unemployment. I'll want to see statistics so that you are actually hooking me to your study when you tell me that youth unemployment rates in Kenya stands at 68%. I say, wow. Studies carried out by Njenga, Onyango, and Karume. And then this study shows limited understanding of the informal sector's role in providing job opportunities for youth. So this is the problem. Limited understanding and due to gaps in policies addressing youth unemployment in the informal sector. Wananchi watukufu. A problem statement is the heart of your proposal. And we spent a lot of time working out the problem statement, giving you examples. So me, I want my heart to giggle. Nikiangalia problem statement yako nasema, oh my God, I didn't know I was such a good lecturer. They have understood what a problem statement is. So you know, there is visibility, manifestation, statistics, and studies. There is the problem itself. And of course, there is the imperative as to why it must be done. Then I'll want to see the context. I'll want to see the studies that have been done so far on youth unemployment and economic growth. And then you will tell me your gap. These are the studies that have been done. So you do a context to show the gap. And then you now have justified why you're doing the study. Then you can tell me who will your findings be useful to. Consumerability, or the audience, the people who use your studies. After that, purpose of the study: to analyze the contributions of the informal sector to youth employment and to evaluate how the informal sector impacts overall economic development in Kenya. So here, the demographic is Kenya. The demographic is Kenya. And the audience, the participants are youth. This is what I want to see in your purpose of the study. So look at typical objectives of the study: to identify the types of employment opportunities available in the informal sector for youth. Then to assess the economic impact of youth employment in the informal sector. Remember, it is about youth employment and economic growth. And then explore the challenges faced by youth in assessing informal sector opportunities. And you know that there will be a fourth objective on strategies or approaches to mitigating against this dreadful thing of youth unemployment. Research questions and hypotheses. So you will turn your objectives into research questions. And then look at this hypothesis. Increased participation of youth in the informal sector leads to enhanced economic development. So I'll be teaching you how to frame a hypothesis, and here you'll be saying there is no statistically significant relationship between participation of youth in the informal sector and enhanced economic growth. So you state the null or the alternate hypothesis, and you go out in the field to prove whether it is true or not. Rationale, justification for focusing on the informal sector's role in youth unemployment, and then the importance of addressing the gap in knowledge regarding the sector's contributions to economic development. Because we had hinted in the problem statement that our gap will be limited knowledge. So the rationale is the so what. Look at significance. Potential to inform policymakers on effective strategies to leverage the informal sector for youth employment. So policymakers, who are the consumers? Policymakers. But you must tell us, how will they consume it? Will they drink it? Will they chew it? Or will they just swallow it all? So you must tell us. Contribution to academic literature on youth employment and economic development. And then look at here, benefits to stakeholders such as NGOs, government agencies, and educational institutions as they do their policies, strategic plans, and funding proposals. So please distinguish between rationale and significance of the study. Then you'll come to delimitations and limitations. So delimitation, this student cannot do a national study. So they'll focus on a specific region in Kenya and certain informal sector activities. So maybe you will focus on Mama Mboga in Kiambu, Kakamega, and Mombasa counties. That is your scope. And you must tell us why. Why Kakamega? Why Mombasa? Why Nairobi or Kiambu? Limitations. And listen to this. You will bring out potential biases in self-reported data from youth. So you're going to ask participants, you're going to give them a questionnaire, you're going to interview them, but there is potential bias. Like now the youth, the Gen Zs will say all kinds of negative things. You'll have limited access to certain informal sectors. And when you enter into government offices, they might not want to give you the information. And there could be variability in measurement, meaning your tools might not measure what they are supposed to measure. The challenge with limitations is that we then expect you to tell us how you'll overcome those limitations. And after the break, I'm going to bring one or two examples to drive this point home. So, assumptions, youth are actively seeking employment in the informal sector, and data collected will accurately reflect the contributions and challenges of the informal sector. Those are the assumptions, but you might find they don't hold, they are not true. So when you go to chapter 5, after your study, you'll be telling us, these were my initial assumptions, and they did not hold because of this and this, and that the person coming to do a study in this area must be cautious of those assumptions. So look at the operational definitions I would expect from this student. Informal sector. Those are, you must tell us what you're saying is your informal sector. You must tell us the youth, individuals aged between this and that, from Kenya's National Youth Policy, and you cite it. Here you tell us where this definition is coming from, economic development, and so on. So we would expect you to operationalize your definitions, but tell us whose definitions you are using. So they must be cited, they must be referenced. Then we have theoretical and conceptual frameworks. Theories relevant to the informal sector dynamics and economic development. So for example, the dual economic theory. And there are many others. I'm going to bring you some more. So the conceptual framework linking informal sector activities with youth employment outcomes and broader economic impact. So you will have to conceptualize the interplay between your variables. This is what I hope to see under your chapter 1. Under your chapter 1. And I would like to, to pause and give an interlude of 15 minutes so that I can hear your views before we carry on. Over to the coordinator.
Right, let's hear feedback and review reflection. So far, I know that we have 2, 3 PhD students or 4, and they were asking, okay, now we know the difference because they use the word scope in the PhD and limitations. They don't use delimitations and limitations. But now I think, Joy Walucho, you have seen that the difference is just the level. At PhD, we use scope and limitations. At master's, we use delimitations and limitations. Oh, it's Losioki.
Thank you very much, Dr. Caroline, and thank you, Professor, for that. I think for me now, I'm starting to reflect about my topic, which is climate change, teenage pregnancies, and FGM stifling school retention in marginalized Maasai communities in Kajiado. And now from the presentation, I'm now going through in my mind my chapter, how it will look like. I'm looking at the scope, starting to reflect on the objectives. I've even been able to start thinking about, if I don't do this study, what will happen to the people in the area that I'm going to do my research. So in short, I'm considering now the possible contribution of this study. I'm also looking at it in terms of the theoretical and conceptual framework. I'm thinking in terms of the theories in place. And when we talk about operational definitions, I'm starting to look at the Ministry of Gender and some working definitions from the publications. So thank you very much. This is really, it has really opened my mind. Thank you very much, Professor. Okay,
very, very good, very good. Yeah. Any other comments, worries? As I've just used these students' topic, but I want to go a little into theoretical and conceptual framework, because this is where it gets a little messy.
All right, Elizabeth, and then Ruby. And then Anderson and Edwin, we always want to be sure you're awake in China. Yes, Elizabeth?
Yeah, so mine is just first to really thank you for this. This is my first time also to attend, and I've just finished one trimester. So I am happy to attend and to start to gain clarity. And I'm happy for this initiative. But what I also wanted to check, how soon, for example, for us, maybe who are still earlier on, and you are determined to finish within the 2 years. So how soon can we start this process? And maybe what are the prerequisites before we are able to start? Thank you.
Maybe Mwaka, you can respond to all that.
Yeah, I know they're not in the main class that you're teaching. There are different classes. They've already done probably the research methods. How soon is usually once now? Like our class has had, this is their second semester in Daystar. Not just you finish a tri-semester. They are doing their second semester. Believe you me not, they've already done their concepts. They're now developing their chapter 1. So Elizabeth, you should be able to start it as soon as early as this. But for this ones, this is the second semester. They are finishing this coming semester. And hopefully some of them are really thinking they'll graduate this year. Let's see. Yes, more hands. We had Anderson, and then someone came in with our password, Daystar Uni. Ruby, I know you're not in our message relationship. Let's hear what you want to say. Your video on, if it's possible.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doc, and thank you very much, Prof. I really appreciate this session. I just defended my proposal thesis on Monday, so I really appreciate this because it's going to help me in my correction. I wanted to just find out what is the role of theory in your whole research, the proposal, and does it inform, what does it inform? Does it inform the title, the objectives? Because in my research, what I found was a theoretical gap, and I really wanted to apply theory in understanding a problem. So if you could just help me understand what is the role of theory? How does it come into my research?
Okay, good question. I'll come to that. I'm just picking it up. Yeah.
All right. Anderson? And I also encourage those in the master education leadership also ask your questions. Anderson, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So I've also defended my thesis proposal. So I'm now in that phase of data collection. But as I've listened to Prof, I definitely can see a few areas that I will need to, like polish on my document, most likely now that going into the final defense. However, my question is based on a second study that I'm doing. So I'm doing a meta-analysis as a scoping review. And my question is, I would like Prof to comment on whether a meta-analysis would require just the same script, or will there be a few variations to this flow? Thank you.
Very good. Allow me to pick this question. We'll pick some more. We encourage students to tell us their areas of discomfort. But allow me to, somebody asked a very interesting question and said, they really don't quite see this thing of a theoretical framework. And that is, as a professor of research methods, that really worried me, because it told me something that I would not wish to see happen in our university. Just a minute. Is this visible, Carol?
No, not yet, Prof.
Nothing is visible. Okay.
Mhm.
Let me try. And this is a seminar, so please don't hesitate to raise as many issues as possible for clarification. And I've liked the two that I've just that have come through. Are you seeing that one? Is it?
Yes.
Is it? Okay. Now I want to answer the question of the theoretical framework. We are still on this study assessing the contribution of the informal sector to youth employment and economic development in Kenya, around there. The theoretical framework provides the foundation for your research. And note, the foundation for your research by identifying and explaining the key theories that relate to your topic. Yes, this research will be hollow. This research will be floating up there if you don't give us the theoretical framework surrounding this area. So I'm telling the student here, for your study, you might consider the following theories. The dual economic theory. And I'm using this as a case study, so I'm not going into those details. The theory distinguishes between the formal and informal sectors of an economy, suggesting that each has different dynamics and functions. And it reinforces that the informal sector can absorb surplus labor from the formal economy and can serve as a critical source of employment for disadvantaged groups, including youth. So in your research, you may explore how the informal sector serves as a buffer against unemployment, particularly for youth in an economy with limited formal job opportunities. I think we're all seeing Kenya. The informal sector. So this looks very appropriate. Now somebody asked, why do we need this theory? You see now, I hope you're seeing why a theory is important. Because this theory will distinguish between formal and informal sectors, and also tells us that the informal sector can absorb surplus labor from the formal economy and so serve as a critical source for employment. So do you see that the theory, and I don't know whether I'm stretching this too far, the theory, your theory or your theoretical model is the bridge between your independent and dependent variables. The theory gives you the context for your study. She or he can also use the human capital theory, which implies that education and skills contribute to economic productivity. That's why when you reach high school, you are increasing your chances of success in life or being engaged with the economy of a country. And when you go to university, you are enhancing those chances. When you do your postgraduate studies like you people, you are actually investing in the human capital. And there's a relationship between human capital and enhanced job performance and economic contributions. So the human capital theory, for me here, also can be a theory applicable. Now, can you see how, or what am I saying? You can see this theory provides a matrix on which your variables can sit comfortably. In fact, I normally, when I'm teaching this in my master's class, I tell students to imagine the theoretical framework as the ceiling juices or the ceiling in the house. And when you want to get variables, you allow, for example, you pour a drum of water up in the ceiling and it will start dripping slowly. What are those things dripping out of that wet ceiling are your variables. So that's why I have a problem. When we say we cannot have theoretical framework and conceptual framework in chapter 1, I have a problem. Because you can't show me a conceptual framework in chapter 1 and you have not mentioned the theory under play. Briefly, maybe half a page. It is the theory that gives birth to the conceptual framework, to your understanding. You read the theory, you understand now, and then you say, oh my God, this is how the variables are, this is the interplay within the variables. I'm still answering that lady's question. Why theory? This student will be free to pick 1, 2. I don't encourage many at masters, just bring up 1 theory or 2 theories. But at PhD, we can use as many as we want. There is the social capital theory. This theory emphasizes the importance of social networks and relationship in providing employment opportunities. It focuses on how community ties and connections can facilitate job access in the informal sector. When I read that social capital theory, there's only one county I ran to, Muranga, Kangatas County. This is where social capital, look at all those programs that are going on. When I was the chairman of the Economic and Budget Committee for Kakamega County under Honorable Paranya, the social capital theory, we created dairy industries in Kakamega. We established so many contracts on road construction. We built dispensaries. We built youth polytechnics. This is how community ties and connections can facilitate job access in the informal sector. So you investigate how youth leverage their social networks to access informal employment opportunities and how those relationships contribute to their economic well-being. So there is a social capital theory. Do you see you cannot confidently construct a conceptual framework if you are not sitting, if you are not anchored by a theory? And then there is the economic development theories. Why? Because we are talking about economic empowerment, economic growth. These theories articulate how different sectors contribute to economic growth. This includes perspectives of job creation, income generation, and overall improvements in living standards. So the application here is that we are trying to see how increased youth employment in the informal sector contributes to employment. and thank you for that question you asked, because it's allowed me to emphasize this. I want everybody to note that thou shall not live without a theory. And when I'm marking your thesis, once I see the theory, I quickly go and mine information around that theory and find out which variables are in play when you engage this theory. And then I come and look at your topic. Second question, good question, was if I'm doing a meta-analysis, do I follow this same format? Do I follow this same format? I just want to say this, and by the way, thank you for that question. And the answer is yes. What is a meta-analysis? A meta-analysis, all that will be different is when we are doing our chapter 3. Because this is still research, my brother. This is still research. What you are doing with the meta-analysis is that you are using the studies as your primary data. Yeah. So I expect you to tell me the introduction and background to the problem. I want you to bring me the problem statement, the purpose, the objectives, research questions, hypothesis, rationale, yes, significance, delimitation is very strong in a meta-analysis. You must tell me which studies and which criteria will you use to include or exclude certain studies, and then the assumptions. And of course, I must know the theories that will guide that area, because you are still studying a problem, only that the design is different. You are not going to collect, like this student is going to collect primary data. You are going to use studies that have been done as your primary data. So let's be clear about that. I want to pause there before I go to the conceptual framework. Are there any reactions?
Well, there were several on the chats. Some we are managing, and Professor Shem and Professor Edward and others online, Professor Sister Lando. Feel free also to respond to the students as they do on their chats. But some of them are asking, it's mandatory for 3 theories, but I think we've tried to respond, not mandatory, but must have a theory. However, that it depends on the problem under study and why you choose those particular theories, and why 1 and 2 depends particularly on that. Someone is asking, in chapter 1, do we mention the theory as it is or applicability to your problem in chapter 1? Because I know that
chapter 1, I have told you, I expect you to tell me, in this study, I'll use the dual economy theory, and you tell me what it is, like I've done here, and why it is applicable to your research. And then you stop.
Yeah, okay.
And then you give me the conceptual framework. When you get to your chapter 2, you have all the space to dance. But as you dance, this is not Isukuti. No, this is Beethoven. We are dancing to a symphony. So you don't dance meandering, passing through the kitchen, going to the banana plantations, running down the river and coming back. No.
Right, Prof. This question keeps coming and coming, and I know that you have responded in many forums, many classes, many seminars regarding the handbook vis-a-vis the outline you've given. It's slightly different from what we have, e.g. introduction and background of the study. I know that on Emma, this was a long time ago. I know they've changed that, but we have introduction separately, background separately. We also have limitations, and there's another section of scope. So there are 3 different scope, both delimitations is also a different section, and scope is a different. So they're wondering, and we cannot pass ethical approval without 3 theories. Interesting.
Please don't allow me to comment on that, because then I'm not seeing the adventurism I expect from my master's and PhD students. I mean, it is these people who have adventurism that eventually change the world. So I don't know how I can say you must have 3 theories. I have said, if you don't like the word delimitation, you use scope. I have no quarrel. That's your. But me, I know why I wouldn't use scope. But it doesn't counter delimitation. So, but if you find delimitation not consumable, then use scope. But you can't use both. Yeah. And then I keep asking myself, why are we being dogmatic? Why? Zuckerberg, this young man from Harvard, in fact, when we went for the AI conference, he came to do a presentation. By the way, AI is such a deep tunnel. I don't know how many of you have gone to the caves in Mount Elgon for the elephants. It is such a deep, deep, deep tunnel that if you don't have an exploratory mind, bad tutacheza. You know these people who dance on the periphery, who never come to the center, and they are breaking their bones, sweating down there. Nobody is seeing them because the mystery of anything lies in the center. The beauty, the heat, the momentum. And that's why I don't know how I would disqualify a student because they are not, what am I saying? I mean, it can't be. We must see some innovativeness. I would love to see, I read, I'm an examiner, for example, for Cape Town and the University of Pretoria in South Africa. I see all kinds of formats and I get excited, but I can't fix my mind. Yes. So I will leave it to the academic board of this. Thank God I'm not a member of that board. And now I'm speaking in my capacity as a lecturer, not as a vice chancellor. Yeah.
Of course, Prof, we are glad that the graduate school is here. We have others. We're only missing the ethical reviewers, whom probably we might invite them in our next meeting so that they can also have this knowledge. But as professors of research, yourself, Professor Shem and Professor Edward, of course, we'd expect this kind of questions to come through, and we appreciate. But as a faculty member, I honestly also, I could comment, I don't know why anybody would fix a student that you must have 3 theories. I mean, I thought that the theory is actually very, very key towards the problem that is being addressed, and that's why you're using the variables in the context. So I'm not so sure where this one comes from, but maybe a different school of thought. And we have all of us here to argue out as intellectuals in the academy. Anderson is very appreciative and say that he has finished his chapter 1 meta-analysis, and he wants to tag along your seminars as he conducts his study. And he will attune his first quant and qual study in chapter 4 onwards. He says you're a blessing to them, and now he knows who led the brain behind the economic index of his county, Kakamega County. So that's appreciative. So Shadrach is asking, Prof, what is the place of AI in research write-ups? Could you shed a light? I know this is a very wide thing, but you could give just 1 or 2 comments, Prof. And I know other professors can also, if they wish.
Yeah, what is the role of artificial intelligence, not just in research, but in all aspects of human endeavor? I don't know how many of you know that most of this, when we get into a KLM from Nairobi to Amsterdam, that those planes are on autopilot. And the pilots are doing a lot of monitoring on the dashboard. And that is only possible arising out of artificial intelligence. I don't know how many of us know that now you can go into theater and you don't have these invasive operations that they open up your stomach, but we can go straight in there using technology. That is artificial intelligence driving those processes. I shudder when we take AI at a very rudimentary level and say it is about plagiarism, or it will give you answers. AI, the answers are there, by the way. All these answers are on the internet. What is not on the internet? All these things are there. But now the drivers of AI are making sure that only those who have mastery, you must have mastery in research so that you can now deepen your understanding by probing AI to give you various perspectives to the problem under investigation. In fact, for me, I am so convinced that if we get to the center of AI as Africa, this thing of 2% output in research, production, and innovation will no longer be there. But the problem is, who is taking the initiative, like in a university like Daystar, I was telling this conference we had, we are going to invest a lot. That's why I'm sending about, I think, 11 faculty to Finland to go and look at problem-based learning, which is within the context of artificial intelligence, so that we are able to ask the right questions. We are able to ask the right questions. We are able to split dimensions as we engage with artificial intelligence. But if you just want information, it's not about AI. AI is something different. It has channels that can lead you almost to the end of the knowledge frontier in the area you are studying. But we are mounting seminars. I also want to do a big seminar for postgraduate students, maybe 3 seminars on artificial intelligence using illustrations, so that we can open up this area. And the most brilliant of us can just accelerate into actually mastering and tapping into all knowledge that is relevant to your study, to your experiment, and to your mind engagement. Yeah.
I don't know, Prof or Professor, Prof Shem or Professor Edward, someone is asking, and when you're doing operational definition of terms, is a dictionary a point of reference that you can say this is defined by this dictionary? That you'll use this definition as defined by this particular dictionary. Is that a reference for operational definition of a term?
No, I hope my colleagues can come in, but operational definition, if you got it from the dictionary, then you will cite the dictionary. Yeah, but what does that tell me? Tells me many things. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, let me touch on the conceptual framework. So I hope we are convinced that to demonstrate that you have become a member of that congregation, like this student who is doing a thesis around youth employment, informal sector, and the economy, if you want to sound like and be accepted into this congregation, then you start by appreciating those who have walked there before you. And so you cite. But also when you cite, you enable me, who is examining your work or who wants to use your work, to simply take that citation and mine around that citation, and I'll get the understanding of why you use that definition. Now, another area where we need to clean up is the conceptual framework. Conceptual framework. And I would like to really plead with all of us that let us be clear. We know the core variables. So for this study, the independent variable will be informal sector employment. And so employment opportunities available in the informal sector, including micro enterprises, informal jobs, and self-employment. And key aspects will be type of employment. So you identify various informal jobs available, trading, artisan work, domestic services, etc. Access to opportunities, factors that influence youth access to informal work, social networks, skills levels, geographic location. By the way, look at what this young governor is doing in Murang'a. It's phenomenal. Imagine if every county was doing that in Kenya, and if the central government lived up to its expectation of sending money to the counties. And then job characteristics, flexibility, earning, stability, and working conditions in informal jobs. So that is the independent variable, the informal sector employment. The dependent variable is economic development, the outcome. Why do we want jobs? We want economic development. We want to see the GDP of the country rise. We want to see good statistics on employment. We want to see the longevity of living increased in a country. So the overall economic impact resulting from youth employment in the informal sector and its contribution to community wealth. Key aspects: income generation, contribution to the local economy, community development. And sometimes we take these things for granted. Look at Daystar main campus at River. In 2019, we had hardly 4 or 5 shops or kiosks running there because we didn't have a market. Today, you can see the economy around Daystar University is just booming. So even if I just take eggs from our poultry unit, we are selling close to 50 trays per day, per week. So you see, we are generating employment, we are increasing the wealth of that area by having set up that income generating poultry program. And it is continuing to employ more people. So we are contributing to the local economy. Even by Daystar, by God's grace, the population of students is increasing. We are contributing to the local economy. That's why you see many hostels being built around there. And the shops all over. Maziwa, unga, majani, airtime, M-Pesa. So those are key contributors to the economic development of an area. Then we have moderating variables in this research for this student: education attainment, skills training, socioeconomic status. Mediating variables, social networks, government policies. and relationships among variables. So, you know, you draw the diagrams and you depict, I didn't have time to draw that, but I can do it. Informal sector employment, economic development. High youth participation in the informal sector leads to greater economic development. Education attainment and skills training, informal sector employment. Higher education and skills improve youth access to better informal job opportunities. And then social networks and government policies. Just note, and I want you to note, that you would not have talked about these aspects if you did not have a theory up here linking formal and informal sectors to the economy. So you cannot assume. You must have a theory that has been tested and validated to say, this is what happens when you educate people. This is what happens. This is the link between formal and informal sectors. So you'll have qualified labor, skilled labor, that then will go into the formal economy and increase the wealth of a country. So this conceptual framework is about these variables, but they are sitting pretty on a tested theory as shown there. So I'm just saying here, we'll want you to do a visual representation, use boxes to represent each variable, and then connect them with the arrows. I mean, that's something we all know. So what is the conclusion here on the conceptual framework? It serves as a guide for your research methodology. So me, I don't know, colleagues, I don't know how you can jump into chapter 2, then you start to show me your conceptualization of your study. Where is it coming from? Your conceptual framework has to come before your literature review and your methodology. You can expand on it under literature review. So the conceptual framework serves as a guide for your research methodology, helping to clarify what you'll measure, how you'll measure it, and the expected relationships between different components of the study. It provides a structured approach to analyzing how the informal sector affects youth employment and contributes to the economic development in Kenya. Yes. So I would like to pause there and hope that all of us now have an idea, no, not have an idea, are grounded and they're ready to craft their chapter 1s. Let me pause for winding up questions for this seminar today. And remember, there are 2 other seminars which will take quite a bit because I'll be assuming that you have not really, you're not really grounded with the fundamentals of constructing chapter 2, constructing chapter 3, although you have these concepts that we have taught you in class. Dr. Mwaka? If she's there, if not there, maybe my colleagues, you can come in to encourage the students over our chapter 1, because we want to release them into the unknown.
Thank you, Prof, and good evening, Prof.
Good evening. Is that Cheriot?
Cherui, sir.
Cherui, Rogers, yeah, sorry.
Yes, sir. Maybe I've been able to look at the thesis of these students, and most of them are so comfortable sitting on the aspect of research questions instead of hypothesis. Maybe you can give a talk 3-4 minutes on how maybe can be able to blend hypothesis and objectives in their thesis. Sometimes they are not comfortable in mixing, in trying to see at what point do I use hypothesis, at what point do I use research questions. Number two, maybe on the issue of the theories, I would like maybe to pass this. We may talk about using one theory, and a student may be able to find that that theory has some deficiency that calls him to or her to bring another theory. So that when you say you're using two theories, we are not just planting theories in a proposal, but we say this theory, I'm using it to address this issue. I'm looking at this issue from this lens of this theory. But because it has some deficiency, this calls me to bring another theory that's going to work on the deficiency of the first theory so that I can be able to anchor in my study well. I think something like that can be able to help us to know why we are putting two theories, or even three, depending on how heavy you are doing your study and what are the gaps in the previous theories which are not be able to speak to your topic. Therefore, I'm bringing this second theory to be able to work on the deficiency of the first theory, and I'm doing the third one, if need be, to be able to clear the two gaps. I'm saying that maybe at most, but I believe that we are doing more than one theory. Once you have seen a deficiency in a theory, then we call for the second one. I think that can be able to help them to understand how we are coming up with the second theory in a study, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's very insightful. It's interesting what Rogers Cherui is raising. Let's put it this way. I don't think any of you, I don't, and I hope I'm wrong, any of you can confidently walk into the sphere, wholly the sphere of qualitative analysis. I've seen somebody ask, if I'm doing qualitative analysis, do I need theories? Really, if you are dealing with circumcision, the phenomenon of circumcision among the Zulus, not the Zulus, among the Chagas in Tanzania, there are so many theories around circumcision as a phenomenon. Are they useful for your observations as a qualitative researcher? Yes. If you are dealing with night running or witchcraft, there are so many studies and theories. So you can't just walk to a place and start running after night runners in the night and telling us how they run at 3 kilometers per hour or 6 kilometers, and when they get to the house, they run to the mahiga, the three, what do you call them? Those stones where the sufuria sits, and they put their legs on it so that they are not caught. The wife stays in the house and puts her legs on those stones so that they are not caught when they're running outside. I mean, even this qualitative study, what are you anchoring it on? So we have to be very careful. And I want to say this, Cherui, research questions are universal to both quantitative and qualitative, particularly in mixed methods areas. But hypothesis is restricted to quantitative because you are going to validate a certain theory, a certain model. So if you are doing a mixed method study, I expect to see research questions and or hypothesis. And for us as lecturers, this is something for us to introspect it means we have not grounded our students adequately enough. And Daystar, by its genesis, was a liberal arts.
But hypothesis
was a liberal arts university.
Because you are going to validate.
Please mute those recordings. So because of that, everybody ran away from anything quantitative, anything statistical. And so we loved our research questions. But I've had opportunity to read a few of the theses that have come through. And the arguments around categorization and theme formation.
By its genesis was a liberal arts.
Can we mute? I am, some of those works are very frightening because there are no arguments. There are no critiques. There are no contrasts. They are just reportings, almost copy and paste reportings. By the way, for somebody to do a qualitative study, they must be very strong in language and argument. So yes, they run to the research questions, but is that where we are? Are we there? And my students, just walk the path. And the safest one is you'll be able to collect some quantitative data. You'll also be able to interview to get some voices, some cries, some rebellion. And you do a study that will give me research questions and one or two hypotheses. And I'm serious about this, by the way, because I want you to come from this master's class or this PhD class and be attractive. You don't have to tell me, Ayiro, I did my master's in Daystar. Just the way you articulate things, the way you draw, you do concept papers or proposals for funding, I will see that this person has what it takes. So that is my plea. Any other questions as we wind up? Yeah, Anderson, go ahead.
Thank you, Prof.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm probably not asking a question, but just making a comment and hoping that the comment will be, useful in this context.
Okay.
So my personal philosophical underpinning is that I'm a pragmatist. So even both my studies, meta-analysis and the mixed methods is purely pragmatic. And so I'm making a suggestion that as you are assisting we students to come up with our research topics and then doing an evaluation of those research topics, giving comments and helping to give focus and direction to those research topics. My suggestion will be that one way of achieving that is if we encouraged our lecturers, if we encouraged our faculty, that depending with the unit that you're teaching, once that unit has been taught, I think there should be like a foreseeing, a cascading kind of thinking that allows the students to explore the potential research areas in that particular topic. So I'll give a shout out to one of my lecturers, Dr. Caroline Mwendwa, who taught me just the semester ending, taught me traumatology and interventions, and taught me neuropsychopharmacology. Now, in both units, the group assignments that she gave us were in such a manner that it was purely research. As I worked together with my group, whatever we did would pass as a complete, mixed methods research. Now, if I had an interest to investigate that particular area, I probably would consider myself sorted. I'll consider like I've already been provoked to get into that area of study. So it's just a proposal that I actually think that if our lecturers would be intentional, that after they have taught a particular unit, they can prospect that one of the discussions in the course of the unit is to explore with the students the research areas in that particular course. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. And I'm happy you have mentioned Caroline. She's a medical doctor. We recruited her recently. I'm working with her on a meta-analysis consultancy with the World Vision. And today we are looking at the data and Kumu, another gentleman in the library. And we did a lot of introspection and made, decisions that we will take to World Vision. Yeah, so she has a very incisive mind. That's what I realized. Very incisive mind. Yeah.
Right. We have other comments here. Thank you so much, Ugalisosa Maningwe, for that question. We commonly know, we knew you by the name Maningwe or Galisosa as opposed to Anderson. So, so we would like to, there's someone here saying this is very interesting, but there's also people saying here that you have demystified this kind of, research and writing. Now people are getting, as you can see already, some students already in their proposal writing, Prof, are already indicating they have to rethink through on again rewriting, even though some of them have advanced, some of them have already defended. A quick question is this a globally recognized structure? Someone is asking, like, this structure, if it's globally recognized. I don't know what that means, because the principles and processes and everything about research is the same in the whole world. It doesn't change. But Prof, you can answer that question that someone is asking.
No, I think I wouldn't. I would just plead with the students to believe in logic. You just be convinced that it sounds logical, and we are not doing anything counter. But I really would like to see ambition and adventurism. We want to get groundbreaking research. That's why this dark cave of artificial intelligence, we must push people through it so that we get some out of our students, a class like this one. Can we get the master's class? Can we get what we would call 5, 6 to 10, groundbreaking findings, not defined by some structure, no, but the kind of results that will come out. I'm also very anxious to take you to the seminar on chapter 3, and I'll emphasize a lot on data analysis and interpretation. That's where this whole thing is all about. This work we are doing with World Vision, they wanted us to do a meta-analysis, but in the process, if we gave them the results that we are getting out of the software analysis, those results will not be valid. just by the fundamental principles around a meta-analysis. And that's why we as Daystar, we would like World Vision to talk to that other agency and say, my God, if you want your studies analyzed, if you want to carry out research, go to Daystar. But it takes one punishing themselves. I think Magdalene in my office, research and the coordinator, know how agonizing it was to see every proposal, every concept paper from every student, make comments and grade them. That's what it takes. So what are you doing on your part? What are you doing on your part? I think Daystar is prepared to give you all the support. Daystar is very clear that the completion timelines are binding to both you and us. But that means you must be very close to your supervisors and follow the instructions, not just diligently, but question, compromise, come to a conclusion with your supervisors as you move along. So finally, I would like to say this. After this seminar one.
So we have a question, Prof, from the president himself, Mongare, Walter.
Okay, Walter.
Greetings.
Where's the question? I'm not seeing it. Oh.
Greetings, Prof. I have the privilege of saying it or adding my voice onto this. First, thank you very much. I think the provision that when you started this seminar, you mentioned that you're looking forward to about 50 of us graduating this year.
Not this class.
Well,
cohort 1.
Now, we have been challenged, and with all this guidance that you're giving us, we want to encourage you that even us who are in cohort 2 may be encouraged and actually aiming at increasing your threshold of 50 to another 100. Because with this kind of guidance, this kind of working together with all the support that we are getting from you and all the support that we could get from elsewhere, I would think that there can be an acceleration sort of for some of us to come through by the end of the year with all the resources that we have. My question then goes to this aspect of there are some universities that provide funding for master's students to support their thesis proposal. In relation to what you're saying, that if you could get some 5 to 10 ground and earth-breaking research findings to introduce and to add value to the research spectrum, is there a possibility that we could discuss this further as within the university framework? And if not, is there some external funding agencies that could be of value? Such as Social Science Research Council, that would be of value to offering fellowship and grants for graduate students.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Walter. I think all your questions, the contribution is valid, but the ball is in your court. Why don't you get us excited as a university? And Daystar is amazing. We have the Directorate of Research has funds. The director there can think through, and after the proposals, we see this is amazing. Can we support this student with a small grant or so much money to go and do the data collection and analysis? Those are doable things, because we are a private institution and we want to excel. I have told your class, and I've already told your class, that I want to see the best theses in masters, and we shall sponsor. I would like to sponsor 1 or 2 PhD students, either at Daystar or our collaborating universities. That is doable. And I'm not talking about things we have not done. I have many staff who had never imagined they would go outside for their studies. They're out there. We have staff out there. Dr. Mark is out there. You know, she's on full salary. She's all she's doing is eating hamburgers and roaming around in Minneapolis. But she's on a, you know, on a scholarship, the university. By paying her salary when she's there, you know, that's what we are doing. And we have done that many, and we continue to encourage. There's a faculty I've just sent to the University of Cape Town. Is it Cape Town or Pretoria? From the ICT department. There are about 3 at Howard in the US. There's another one in Michigan. They're out there. You know, these are things, this is a knowledge institution. And I cherish knowledge, so I'm at the front. I'm going to Uganda with the president of Wheaton. Wheaton is one of the best universities, Christian universities in the US. So they're visiting Daystar and the Christian University of Uganda. So what have I decided? I'm going with my president of the Students' Union and the outgoing president and the Secretary General. And I'm not taking them there to do anything, just to expose them. They will sit in meetings, they will see how things are done. It's an expense, or it's an expenditure that you can never really count the returns, but they are enormous. So we are open. We're open, yeah.
Thank you, Prof. Now that you are traveling with presidents, please consider including me
that one.
on at least. Thank you. But thank you, we are advised. Dr. Carol will be reaching out to you to further this conversation. But thank you, Prof, and we appreciate the faculty. And welcome to, on behalf of the class, we want to welcome the other 2 professors, Daktari, Shem, and the other Prof to the cohort. Thank you.
Yeah. So as I finish, because I want to
We have a question on how to acquire your book. I just wanted to flash the pay bill and they can write it down so they can be able to pick it up, if you don't mind. Just flash once, and some of them are asking that. And if you can stop sharing, I just flash the pay bill.
Okay. That's fine. I'm through, yeah.
And then Maningwa is asking whether he can sponsor himself and accompany to Uganda, and he's willing to do that. And I think one of these days he needs to come and speak to our young men. He's a very good motivator for young men. Maybe that's what he can do for us that is really useful. But if in case you want to buy this book by Prof, a research book, please, I don't know if you can see my screen, but that is the pay bill. You pay this to this pay bill that is on the screen. 415-76569. If you are buying the research book, just write research. But the Prof has another book on art of institutional leadership. You can also write the account as art. So pay bill is 415-7659 by Professor Laban, Ayiro, Research Methods, Functional Approach. And also if you want the leadership book. And just to demystify what Prof has said, I'm eating hamburger. Someone is saying that is why I'm shining. I'm not eating. I am literally extremely busy, including being in this class and sharing with you. No hamburgers, but I don't mind if someone shares that with me. Thank you.
All right. I just want to say this, the coordinator, divide the class into cohorts, rope in all the supervisors in the university. But I would like the 2 professors who have come in to move into the space as fast as possible and let them get engaged. I'm hoping that they'll be given classes this coming semester. But for now, I want them to really surround this group, the PhD class and the master's class, And you should work out logistics for them to start having a cluster of students they can support in supervising their work. Everybody, thank you very much for turning up in such large numbers. It's very encouraging. And we continue to thank God for who he is and what he's doing for our university.
Prof, before you go, we definitely want to hear some feedback and reflection. Obviously, the president will be closing the class, but let's hear from the faculty members if you have anything to say. Then students, can we have a PhD student if you are in different masters, and we can hear. Maybe I'll choose for the students, for our class, the president is there and other people are there. And Desiree, you've been very quiet. Is South Africa okay, or is it... where is that? It was a Bexton. That's unlike you. Are you okay? And meanwhile, Prof. Shem, what is your reflection today? Prof, I don't know if Prof. Edward is still on. What's your reflection? And then we can have Dr. Keino and others. Prof. Otey?
Thank you very much. I have enjoyed the seminar. I too have learned a lot. I have seen some areas of convergence and interventions, especially when Professor Devisi has noted that most theses focus on qualitative and not quantitative. We'll have to strengthen that because we need high quality thesis that would be groundbreaking, research that would be groundbreaking. I've seen that gap, and I thank everybody else for this participation. Thank you very much. And I've enjoyed your class, Prof. Thank you.
Asante.
Prof. Edward, we know, I know you, yes, internet I hope it will be fine this time. Sister Landa was looking out for you, but I'm not seeing you. But if you're available using a different gadget, Prof. Edward, we know.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. That session has been very insightful, and actually, I mentioned at some point that we're riding on the shoulders of giants, Prof and our VC. That was quite insightful. So, of course, the students are right at asking or being very inquisitive, asking many questions, the difference between qualitative and quantitative approaches, when to use research method, research questions, when to use research hypotheses. We will definitely be coming in to strengthen all these weak areas or areas of concern. And with the guidance of Prof and others, I'm certain that it will not be the same for our students at Daystar. We shall be doing groundbreaking research as mentioned by my colleague. So thank you so much, Professor. It was great being in your session today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Where is Chongo? Is he on the call or he has left?
He's just been there, probably dropped a little. Let me see. Meanwhile, as I look, but because it's just been there. Dr. Keino, as we look for.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Ayiro. And I would like to appreciate the VC and also the students. I've been listening keenly, the questions they're asking. It shows that a lot has been done, and especially by the VC. This class actually is really, really informed, and I'm really impressed. I was also encouraged by the topics that they've selected, diverse and different topics. I am really, really touched by this class in particular. They've really done quite a lot in terms of research methods. And I would like to thank the VC for sacrificing his time and sitting with us all through. It is late. He's been busy the whole day. I'm aware of that. And I just want to say thank you, Prof. Your labor will not be in vain. So, and I also want to encourage all the students that we are here to support them, and we will give them all the support that they need. as faculty, as ODEL, and as even academics. So thank you so much. Also, Dr. Mwaka, I know the timings there is different, but you are also sacrificing. We really appreciate. Asante sana.
Asante, thank you, Dina. Yeah, okay.
From the students, a little before we move, we have a PhD student who was in. I don't know if they have left. We can leave, and then we can have a master's. Now that Maningwe, you've talked most, give your reflection, and then we shall have our class, Sylvia Michuli and Nyambane, close it out.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ayiro. So first and foremost, to just say thank you to the entire faculty, for being here for us, supporting us, and encouraging us. We're grateful to Professor Ayiro for having, this kind of dedication, this kind of passion to see to it that Daystar as a community, has a niche for itself in the world market for being thorough, being exceptional. And when you use words like groundbreaking, that inspires the rest of us to just want to do better and to want to do more and to want to be a part of that story. As an individual, I'm inspired, I'm supported, and I feel like I made the right decision to join Daystar, where the efforts of faculty are felt, the sacrifices of faculty, right in our faces. We can feel the love, we can feel the support even at our departmental levels, and we can feel how much our faculty is investing in us. So we are the ones who really need to measure up and catch up with the kind of affection that we are being given. At a personal point, I'm grateful that I attended this particular seminar, and I'm not missing the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Chongo is back, but Dr. Susan leads a group that is your class, Prof. It will be nice, she says, and then we can have the two students, Michuli and Nyambane, close us off. Dr. Chongo is back as well. Dr. Susan? Chuguna. And she's never missed any of the seminars, but she's always quite there. Dr. Susan? Okay, as she looks out for the mic, Dr. Chongo, Prof is looking out for you. Are you there?
Thank you, Dr. Karo. Are you here?
No, Dr. Chongo, I don't know what to say.
I want to take this opportunity to...
Just a minute, Chongo. I don't know what to say, and I normally say it so that the person can hear. I have always.
Yes, Prof.
Yes, I've always been amazed by your undefinable attachment to Daystar's postgraduate programs. I might not say it, but I really appreciate the enthusiasm you bring to this effort. And we just want to encourage you to keep rallying your students, particularly School of Business now. These two professors are actually anchored in your school. So I just thought I should thank you personally for depicting what I really want to see from Daystar faculty, self-driven and wanting to do the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Chongo, I hope you have heard that. And that is really a good recognition of your efforts.
Thank you, Prof.
Susan, are you there? Okay. Yes, you are.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Truly appreciate Sorry, I'm in a hospital. I am in a hospital, so I'm trying to get out to the corridor where I can talk. Thank you, Prof, for the sessions we've been having, or all the seminars. I call them seminars for the rest of us, and I truly appreciate the guidance. And that the Masters in Nursing Education students are here, I truly appreciate that we can get this early. And even the multidisciplinary approach that they have been able to experience in their walk through this phase of the research journey, I truly appreciate. And let's go on and meet the deadlines. Thank you, Prof. And thank you, team.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you. God bless. I hope the nurses are working as a group. They need to work together as we try to have them graduate. Thank you.
The nine ladies are so tight, you can't even separate them. But yes, finally, our two students, go ahead. And others, you can post everything there. Susan, and Sylvia, women advisor in the, Prof has come in now. Prof Mulando, are you coming? Are you back? We are looking out for you. If you're back, you can say, and then Sylvia, the president's advisor on women and gender issues, and then our president, Nyambane, you close with prayer, and then you can talk aside on going to Uganda. Is Sister Lando in still? Yet looking for you? No.
Move to the students. So
please, can we have Sylvia? Okay, so Nyambane.
Right. Thank you.
Yes.
Mine, I will not repeat what everybody else has said, Prof. We are privileged, we are honored to be here. The country is in need of what we are doing. The country is in need of leaders that are being molded in this class, and we are being prepared. As tough and winding as it might look, it's necessary. The decisions for this country must be evidence-based, researched, well-researched, so that they're informed. Policies are informed by what we are doing. And therefore, we don't take it for granted. We want to do you proud, Prof. And we want to do Daystar University proud and bring the joy and pride in the servant leadership that we all talk about. Shall we pray? Our Heavenly Father, we don't take it for granted that you've given us this opportunity to fellowship. As we started the seminar, we invited your presence through the fellowship and the devotions that we had. We've shared, we've been guided. May you help us to retain the knowledge that we are getting. Let it not just be a process for us to acquire a master program, but let us be prepared to be servants in the real sense of servants for your kingdom on earth. We thank you, and as even we part tonight, we continue to pray for the families that are represented here. We want to say a special prayer to Dr. Ayiro, Professor Ayiro, Professor Shem, Dr. Kano, Professor Lando, Professor Edward, Professor Dr. Chongo, and Dr. Susan, who are here. We really don't take it for granted that the faculty spends endless hours and time to guide us. We thank you for our course coordinator, Caroline, that even as we continue to go through this journey, we are privileged. We pray that this bond continues until the fruits of the graduation, a demonstration of the process, comes to pass. We thank you and we honor you, for it is in Jesus' name that we prayed and believed.
Amen.
See you on Saturday, faculty, 6 a.m. for PhD seminar.
Amen.
And this other seminar, this one?
The classes, the notes that I was using will post them to you.
All right.
And please start working on your chapter ones. Now it is now your speed, and you'll be allocated a second supervisor. So you'll be running between the two of us as we move along. Mbarikiwe sana, and God bless. Bye-bye.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Ugali sosa. Come, sing for us. Now you see, Prof is not here. I can do all those dramas. Yes. Anderson, sing, please.
Na vitu
Vitu vyote vile vizuri.
kama ugali sosa.
Ugali sosa.
Ugali sosa. Kama bado hujanunua. Mungu, mtafute Mungu, utaongezewa. Ugali sosa.
Wonderful. Next time, I think in class we'll show that we sing that and we dance. Yeah, that's the nice way to start it. Not waruna chapo. Please, chapo ni huko kwingine. Hapa ni ugali sosa. God bless you, all of you. Joy, engea PhD saa 12 tukutane kule. We'll see you. And everybody, people in China, Seychelles, Uzbekistan, South Africa, where else? Kuwait, all those countries. Please go and have
Viga, you forgotten people in Viga.
Viga and where is Nani? Who is this who swims in Malava? Mimi nikule mpaka zangu. How can I be?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't stop the YouTube.